Dar Chapter 3, The Rocky Ledge. 14 women and children were waiting for Mora at the bend of the river, and she led them away from camp along the riverbank. Dar and Bowen, the two oldest boys, acted as guards and carried their spears. The walk was brisk. The younger children scrambled to keep up, but the babies, lulled by the steady rhythm of their mother's walking, slept in their slings. Useful plants and animals had been plentiful when the clan first moved into the area. Now, after living there for many seasons, both hunters and gatherers had to travel far from camp to find enough food to sustain the clan. After a long walk, Mora pointed to a cluster of thin green onions growing near the riverbank. "Look over there," she said. "Tonight's meal will be tasty." The tender shoots were quickly pulled and stored in the bags. When hunting was poor, squirrels, marmots, and lemmings were welcome additions to the stew pot, and everyone looked for the small animals. The children were responsible for collecting tinder and firewood, both essential for warmth and cooking. The walk continued until Mora stopped again and prodded the ground with her digging stick. "Tubers underground here, good for thickening stew, and they can be stored for a long time." Mora worked her stick into the earth, searching for the tubers, and the others did the same. All morning, under Mora's direction, the group searched and collected whatever could be found. The bags filled up with wood, moss, grasses, roots, and tubers, reeds, onions, and mushrooms. A little girl ran up to Mora with a handful of green berries and asked her if they were good to eat. "They're too hard and sour to eat now," Mora told her, "but the berries will be ripe by summer, and then we'll have all we want." Mora suddenly stopped and pointed to a clump of purple flowers growing high above them on a rocky ledge that jutted out near the top of a cliff. "I haven't seen that plant for 3 summers. When its flowers and leaves are ground up and mixed with bone marrow, the paste makes a fine medicine to put on wounds. Let's get them all." Bowen stepped forward. "I'll go up." "No, Dar will get them," Mora said in a firm voice. Dar's stomach tightened. "Grandmother knows I'm afraid of heights," he thought. "Bowen is afraid of nothing, so why doesn't she let him make the climb?" But Dar's silent look of appeal to Mora was met by a blank stare. Pause here for a minute. Why would Mora, knowing that Dar is afraid of heights, still choose to send him? Dar handed his spear to Bowen without looking at him. The rugged face of the limestone cliff rose before him. Dar walked to the base and started the climb. It soon became so steep he had to use his hands to cling to the cliff. A rock broke off in his grasp when he approached the halfway point. It clattered down the face of the cliff and crumbled into pieces. Dar looked down and saw the gathering group far below him. They were all looking up at him and seemed as small as deerskin dolls. He felt sick to his stomach. Dar raised his eyes to the flowering plant still high above him. He ran his tongue over his dry lips and swallowed hard. From above, Dar heard the angry cries of hawks. It was the nesting season. "I'm not here to hurt your chicks," Dar called out to 2 birds circling overhead. Dar reached up with his right hand and found another handhold, but he couldn't find a new place to put his left foot. His body trembled. Fear made him unable to move in any direction. Dar clung helplessly to the face of the cliff. He heard a faint voice from below. "Dar, forget the plants," his grandmother called. "Come down." Dar was grateful for permission to stop the climb, but embarrassed to do so in front of the group. He imagined Bowen's small smile of contempt. The climb down was more difficult than the trip up. Dar was constantly aware of the ground far beneath him. Pausing to catch his breath, his attention was caught by figures in the distance. Were they humans or animals? Dar shielded his eyes from the sun and saw that it was his uncle's hunting party. The men were walking so slowly, they hardly seemed to be moving. One of the hunters was injured. The other 2 men were having trouble supporting him. Avdar's heart raced as he continued his climb down the cliff. "Something's gone wrong!" he shouted. "A hunter is hurt!"